Blessings to everyone. Greetings. Welcome to our virtual weekly offering. I'm Reverend Deborah L. Johnson, also known of as Rev D. So glad to be with you here. Everybody just take a breath for a moment, huh? We honor this sacredness, this time to come together in fellowship and community, to remember the truth of who we are. We come here to awaken from the hypnotic slumber, to remember we're not our stuff. We're not the news. We're not our relationships. We're not our bank accounts. We're not our jobs. We're not even our body temples. Who and what we are is so much greater than the sum total of all of that. All of that. And I know that whether this is your very first time, whether you have been with us for years, I know that it's the right time. It's the right time. So we set the intention in this moment right now to be blessed, to have something moved and stirred within us that shakes us out of complacency, that helps us to energetically recalibrate, that guides us in a direction where our path is continuously illumined. Yes. Given that, let's take a moment and review Inner Light's purpose statement. Inner Light is an open, diverse, inclusive community of individuals and organizations dedicated to spiritual transformation. We provide tools for activating higher possibilities by applying universal spiritual principles to all circumstances. Our aim is personal and global healing through the omni-faith energy of love and the revealing of our own inner light. Promoting life's sacred interconnectedness, we embody spiritual oneness, appreciate individualized expressions, and honor all paths that lead to spiritual truth, justice, and ecological regeneration. Just breathe that in. We're not about dogma here. Okay, we're not about creed. We are about the stuff in the universe that's universal, that's transcendent of time and history and culture and religion. You can't patent truth. You just can't. So I may use language that might be different than the way that you might say something. And I invite you to just be open, translate if you need to. You might find me using words like God, and maybe that's not registering for you. Maybe you think of more of life or the universe. I kind of switch things up a little bit. But the point of the matter is that a rose is still a rose by any name. We never claim that we're giving you some great new revelations. No, quite the contrary. That if you go to some spiritual tradition and they're not saying anything that feels even remotely familiar, nothing that is just resonating deep within your soul, run. Really, find someplace else. Because if there's any place that's speaking truth, it's going to resonate within you and it's going to sound familiar. You'll be thinking, oh yeah, that reminds me of something that my grandmother used to say. Oh yeah, oh, that sounds real Buddhist. Oh, that seems real, Native, American. Oh, well, that feels like it's very, very Quaker or whatever it is, or gee, that's what it says in scriptures. Don't get stuck. That's all I'm saying. The truth is the truth is the truth, and it's in you. And that's all that really, really matters. So we offer these tools. We offer these tools for living. They are different kinds of practices. One of the things that we do are what we call affirmative activations. These are ideas, they're concepts, they're paradigms, they're principles, they're practices. They're ways of looking and seeing the world that if you dare to repeat them, come back to them, repeat them enough to actually embody it and let it sink down in your soul, it'll take root and grow fruits. They're going to come up on your screen now. We're going to be talking about patience today. And if you can, I invite you to say it along with me. Just because something is not in my control doesn't mean it's out of control. Patience is the place where expectations surrender to divine timing. My personal sense of timing grows to appreciate divine unfoldment. No longer pushing my own agenda, I'm in awe of cosmic order. Judging by appearances is fruitless, since we see so little with our eyesight. I trade in hurriedness for hanging out with spirit. I have the patience to let my muddy water settle. Rushing things to completion, we ruin what was almost ripe. I continuously cultivate the capacity to wait upon the Lord. Just breathe that in for a moment. Breathe that in, take it in. Those first couple of concepts there I'll be talking about, they come from my spirit definitions. Actually, the first three are straight from the spirit downloads. Towards the end, having the patience to let my muddy water settle. Rushing things to completion, we ruin what was almost ripe. That's from the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. Basically, the Bible of Taoism. Cultivating the capacity to wait upon the Lord. Straight out of the Holy Bible. Just let this sink in a moment. And I'm going to invite you to come back. You can find them on our website. You can come back and watch it on YouTube. You might even want to just take a screenshot, right now on your computer, or if you have a phone nearby, just, take a photo. It's important to come back. The repetition is important. Yes. So to also help cultivate our consciousness, another tool that's really important to keep in your spiritual tool chest is music. Music has a way of opening our minds and opening our hearts. It's good juju, it's good medicine that'll keep watch with you in the midnight hour even. There's a beautiful ballad that we're going to listen to now called Rolling River God. Charles Holt has sung that with us at Inner Light a couple of times. And this particular version It's by an exquisite artist, Bridget Bryant, accompanied by the acclaimed Oleta Adams.
Rolling river God, little stones are smooth, only once the water passes through. And so I am a stone. I'm rough and I'm green still. I'm just trying to reconcile this river's chill. But when I close my eyes, I feel you rushing by. I know that time brings change.
Just breathe that in for a moment. Oh. That's a voice that no doubt you have heard, but probably didn't know it. Bridget Bryant has sung with the best around the world, from Barbara Streisand to Phil Collins and Stevie Wonder, and on their albums doing backup. Beautiful solo singer. I love that song, Rolling River God. So today we're talking about patience takes imagination. So first, I got to bust myself here. Those of you who've been around Interlight for any length of time are probably just rolling over on the floor right now. Yes, hell has frozen over and the cow has jumped over the moon. We're almost 30 years old, Interlight, about 18 months for being 30 years old. And it's a joke. I have never chosen patience as a topic, ever. So I don't know. I guess like up until COVID, we would always do the sermons by a monthly theme, and in that way, everything could get into alignment. The music ministry and what the children were studying, the teenagers, the bookstore, whatever. Everybody could, move along, and it would always be spiritual qualities. But I would never choose patience. I was always very explicit about that, because what I knew is that even as I would choose I would choose, even as through processes of revelation, the monthly titles would be chosen and revealed sometime like late fall, so that they were available to kick off the new year. And it would be like a horoscope almost. So if it's October and I've said, okay, in July, it's going to be about balance. It was like writing a ticket to have to deal with balance in July. And I just felt like, you know what? Out of everything that's going on in the world, I really don't want to have to deal with patience. So just taking almost a mere 30 years, but hey, here I am. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey with patience. And I don't know if it mirrors yours or not. But I've had some incredible insights and revelations, particularly over the past few years in regards to it, that's just completely shifted my relationship to it, where patience doesn't seem like, fingers on a chalkboard to me anymore. And I can relax. I can relax into it. So, in my youth, and like, not uncommon for a lot of young people, I didn't have any patience, very goal oriented. And it's like I wanted things to happen. I wanted things to get accomplished. Of course, particularly in my time frame. And of course, when you're younger, everything just seems longer. So if you're 10 years old and you have to wait a year for something, that's 10% of your life. So it feels like, a much longer time period than it would have felt like, say, to somebody who's 60. So my initial relationship to patience was around that, was around timing. Like, patience was just something that you needed to have when things weren't working out. It might be a simplistic way to think of it, or taking longer, or you weren't really sure. Then as I started to grow more spiritually, patience became to be more about faith and about trust. It became less and less about timing, the when things, in fact, were going to occur. The patience had to do more with like the processes, the methodologies that were going to be used, the people, the places, the whole unfoldment. And when I couldn't see the supply, I couldn't see the way that it was going to happen, when there just didn't seem to be whatever the resources, the wherewithal, the cooperation, the relationships, that whatever, it, it felt like patience meant I had to really stretch and trust the universe, trust the cosmos, trust some sort of intelligence and order that I actually like really do believe in. And I had to like just kick back for a little bit and not be so anxious, to not feel like I had to be shown everything. Like it says in the affirmations that we just went through. I mentioned that those first few lines are things that have either come out of published letters, published works, these spirit downloads that I get, or in some of the things that hasn't quite been published, things that haven't been published yet. But that idea that just because things aren't in my control doesn't mean it's out of control. Okay. That's just a really fundamental concept. And for me to wrap my head around and to really be able to accept. Okay. Now, it seems silly that I should have to accept that, because when you really look at the world, how much is in our control? Not a whole lot. Okay. And that idea that we can control it, it's a bit of an illusion, kind of like the bait and switch that I was talking about last Sunday, where we have to think that it's a certain way before we start moving in that direction. So we have to think that we have the control to even start the process or even show up. But even something like your day, at the end of the day, how many times can you say that the day actually unfolded like exactly the way that you thought that it would? I'm not saying that that never happens, but life does what life does. That's what happens. So I kind of moved from patience being about timing, the when, to patience being about the trust of the how, and that there's order. What I've come to appreciate more in the last few years, that for me, patience has really become more about imagination. And I tell you what I mean by that. That in those moments of impatience, what I'm lacking is imagination. This is different than the lack of imagination about the how everything is going to happen, dealing with that trust aspect. Okay. So my second real deep dive into patience, as I just mentioned, was the trusting of the, okay, I may not know how it's going to happen, but it is, in fact, going to happen, and letting myself imagine that perhaps it could unfold in some kind of way other than what I thought, not putting so many restrictions on it. Well, there's this little nuance to it that I want to talk more about now, which is the lack of imagination that I was having wasn't simply about how something could come into fruition, but the lack of imagination had to do with in the meantime. In the meantime, I began to see that my impatience wasn't really always about the fact that what I thought I wanted wasn't here fast enough, but that I didn't have good imagination. I didn't have a good sense of possibility of what could be happening before that actually materializes. So hang with me here. My frustration was about what now? What now? And a sense of being thrown. And it could be something simple, like my last airline trip. Well, not the very last one, but the one that I took from Vegas to Santa Cruz, this last trip, just a couple of weeks ago. Trip back was fine, but going, I get this message as I'm leaving the house, getting my Uber, that my flight was going to be delayed 152 minutes. And 152 minutes. And I found myself like having to do math just to see, well, how long is that? And I said, okay. And I kind of got it. All right. It's not quite, it's just, it's like it's in between here. It's in between 2 and 3 hours. Okay. All right. Like good 2.5 hours. So it's like, okay. But then the next line said, but still show up. Still show up when you're supposed to check in. Okay. All right. So I'd given myself a lot of extra time anyway. I'd already called the Uber and paid for it. Like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to wait like a little bit longer. So I get there, and the point is that it kept getting pushed out and pushed out till I think it finally took off maybe 3.5 hours afterwards. Now, initially, I'm pissed, right? I'm frustrated because I normally drive. It's a long drive. But once again, I do a lot of math in my head. I'm doing the math and I'm thinking, by the time I get there, I could have driven. The flight's only an hour or something, an hour 15, hour 20 minutes. And yet I am spending all of this time in the airport just trying to leave. And it's crowded in this particular terminal because all of these particular flights, all of the flights all around me, it was in like one of those little cul-de-sac at the end of the terminal spot. All of these planes are late, right? So there's a frenetic energy and whatnot that's in the air. And I suddenly started to remember what I'm talking to you about now. It was, okay, there's nothing I can do that's going to get this plane here any faster or have it take off any sooner. All right. So whatever little pissosity or emotional temper tantrum that I may be having, let it go. Okay. Because it's not It's not serving anything. I don't have to go into some big wonder like, oh, what's going on? It's being handled. Okay. I know a plane's gonna come and it's gonna get here. It may not be when I want it, but like it's gonna happen. So really what it boiled down to was this in the meantime thing. Our experience of life isn't what happens. Our experience of life is how we define it. It's what we say about it. It's the narrative that we tell ourselves. And the difference between whether your day is okay or happy or sad is your narrative. It really isn't so much the things that happen, but how you interpret the things that happen. That's the difference. So, one of the things I talk about a lot is being on the triangle, the victim, villain, hero triangle. It's this construct that we have, and we stick ourselves on it all the time, no matter what story or whatever it is that's going on, from something very simple in your life to global relationships. We tend to see things through the lens of the victim, villain, hero triangle. And here's the thing, that once you introduce one of those roles, the other one has to happen. It just does. As soon as you have a victim, there has to be a villain. Okay. The hero is whatever it is that you think is needed in order for the situation to be rectified. Now, this victim, villain, and hero, they don't have to be character. I mean, they don't have to be people. Okay. They're just characters in a script. They're a role. The same thing can play multiple roles. It can be the villain, the victim, and the hero all at the same time. If it's something like, I don't know, going into recovery, you can be the victim. You're the victim of your own drinking. You're the villain. You're the one that's causing the drinking, and you're the hero. It isn't until you go and ready to be sober that anything's going to happen, and you're doing a triangle all by yourself. Okay, so the way that I teach this getting off the triangle, say just pick a role, any role, and take it out the story. What would the story be if that role wasn't in it? Okay, so I was playing this out. Okay, I'm here, the victim, and the villain is the airlines and this, changing of the schedule. And the savior is going to be like when this plane finally gets here and arrives, everything's going to be better. So I've been doing this enough that I wasn't even conscious that I was playing that scenario out, or really conscious of the fact that I was deconstructing it. But essentially, that's what I did. Is I decided I'm not a victim here. I'm not a victim. No, I'm not on the plane as soon as I would have liked to have been on the plane. But I'm alive. I'm still here. Life is in session. Life didn't stop because that plane that I thought that I was going to be on wasn't here to take off at that time. So now what? Can you feel what I'm saying? The impatience really wasn't so much about the pain, about the plane, as it was me lacking imagination of what that space in between could bear. What were the possibilities here? There's a letter in The Sacred Yes, volume 1 of my Letters from the Infinite series, and it's called Living Every Moment. Living Every Moment, and explaining how there are opportunities in every single moment. No one moment is more pregnant or powerful than another moment. It's just when we show up. It's just when we are ready, when we are available. Okay? So this patience that we need, it's where we stand into that realm of all possibility. Not just possibility that it will all work out later, but right now. I teach metaphysical Bible interpretation. And there's a passage that's fairly popular. Most people just, if they quote it, they only quote the first part of the passage, which is that all things work together for good, is the first part of that verse. And in my mind, I used to think that meant that everything will turn out all right in the end. All things work together for good. But as I started doing the linguistic study of it, I realized that isn't what it says. That in terms of the language itself, the words that were being interpreted into English, like what those words actually mean. This working together literally means working together in concert, simultaneously, like in this very moment. It would be like the word to conspire. Spire actually means breathe. Con with, to conspire, to breathe with. We tend to think of conspiring and conspiracy like in negative terms. But if you look at it, it's just what it means to be so in alignment that you're going along, you're breathing with it. So if you're conspiring with something, it isn't just, oh, I have a little part to play here, and then somewhere down along the line that my contribution is going to make some difference. When things are conspiring, they're happening together. It's like right now. We get to getting that thing about, well, how can there be good in this? How can this be good? And I like what another one of my spirit letters was explaining. And it said that we tend to quote scripture is saying, you reap what you sow. Kind of like a quid pro quo. And it doesn't actually say that. It's not the specifics, you reap what you sow, you get this for that, but about the process. As you sow, so shall you reap. The way in which you plant things, the way in which you do it predetermines the way that it comes back. And it was this incredible revelation where the spirit voice was said, the seeds and the harvest, like the energy, all of that's mine. And energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only changes form. We can't make it's here. Said our job is the sowing and the reaping. That's our job. Our job is just how we're using the energy, what we're doing with it, and kind of what's happening on the back end the residuals, the byproducts from the activity of the sowing that we did, kind of like cause and effect. And then it said, because all of the seeds are mine, there's always the potential for a good harvest, regardless of how the seeds were sown or by whom. There's always something good that can come out of it. And then it went on to say, even if it's no more than to see what just happened should never happen again. Even if it's no more than that, that's still a good that comes out of it. And I remember at that time likening it to human conception, how babies are not born evil or bad, that regardless of the circumstances of how they got here, who all was involved, the manner of the conception, even if from something horrific like rape, that the seeds of life are still God. And if that seed comes into fruition, there's always a good harvest that can come. There always is. So when we really think about this, it makes me less anxious to have everything just my way. And I become less concerned that I'm being derailed, detoured, dismissed, discounted, or any of that kind of stuff that just makes me climb the wall. And when I relax into it, it's like, no, something else is happening here. So I wound up using that time at the airport very productively. Once I got over it, there were actually some things that I really wanted to handle that needed to get handled. And that, quite frankly, it really turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because if the plane had taken off when it was supposed to take off, the chances of my getting around to completing those specific things that needed to be completed probably would have taken a couple of more days, given how packed my schedule already was. So the impatience, it's just drama, just my drama. And you know what? Drama's optional. That's one of the shortest sayings out of all the letters, and one of my favorites. Drama is optional. So, what's the benefit of when we are willing to practice this thing called patience? We don't waste time. And I know that seems contradictory, because most of the time when we're impatient, we're thinking that time is being wasted. But it's just the opposite. That when we're impatient, we're wasting the present moment. All the things that could be happening right then. We're wasting our availability. Our energy is being siphoned off like an energy leak. And we find ourselves becoming less enthusiastic, less vibrant, our attention not being as focused, not being as enthusiastic, not really showing up with our A game and doing our best. Okay. So God doesn't need the patience, okay, because God's doing God. God, it's like life is doing life. Life is not thinking that there's some between here or there. It's just in full session all the time. Life is in session all the time. Life is just being live. And when we get in the swing of that and allow our life to just be life, then we find that every single day is so much richer. And here's the irony that I want to leave you with. The time seems to move faster. I remember my mother's mother used to say to me, "A watch pot never boils, Deborah." And it just made absolutely no sense to me. So what did I do? I actually put a pot of water on and stood there and watched it because it didn't make sense. Why would a watch pot not boil? You know, what difference does it make whether I'm watching or not as to whether it boils? But I began to get some inkling of what she was saying, that it felt like the time that it took was so much longer. I find it even just in walking. If I've got to do like a little slight incline and I'm looking up and go, this. But if I just pay attention, maybe even look down, be really present with each step as I'm taking it, before I know, I'm already at the top of that hill. Such as it is with life. Okay. Be present, be available, so you don't miss living, because you can only live like in this now moment. Don't miss living when you can, worried about what's next. Let's take a breath. Let's take it to prayer. In this moment right now, we center down. We give thanks for divine order. We give thanks for right action. Take a breath. We allow our expectations. We allow them to merge into, to appreciate divine timing and divine order. There's a rhythm and the harmony in the universe. It's never late, it's never early. It just simply is. Such as it is with our lives, we simply are. There's nothing to prove and no one to prove it to. We are part of an eternal flame, an unbroken chain of life since the beginning of time. So in this moment right now, I speak that word for patience. That capacity to see beyond what we see. To know that things are not out of control just because we're not in control. Thank you. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for making a way out of seeming no way, time and time and time again. Thank you for ordering everything. From the cosmos and the stars to the functions of our body temples. And most especially, thank you for ordering our steps, for going before us, providing what we need before we even need it. I give thanks in this moment for doors of opportunity opening that we didn't even know were there. I give thanks for sustenance, for full bellies all over the world, warm and protected, sheltered. I speak a word for the unleashing of our human potential. Billions of people all over the world. Can you just imagine? If their energy wasn't siphoned off and just trying to survive. We see that now, their full genius coming into fruition. Having all needs met. Clean air and clean water. Health care, education. Food, shelter. Real homes. I'm talking about compassion here, where we dare to care for one another. I'm talking about justice and liberty here, where we have the freedom to self-determination, freedom to self-govern, freedom to be treated fairly, equality and justice. This is our prayer. All needs met. Healing of the body temple. Those discordant relationships coming into harmony. Those resources so desperately needed are showing up in mysterious ways. It's good. We just get out of the way. We allow it to be. And we invite you. We invite you to reach out to us. 831-465-9090, extension 254, or forprayer@innerlightministries.com. We're there for you. Yes. Thank you. And we invite you to participate with us, to be with us. You can check out our calendared events. And there's a particular something that's coming up in the near future that I'd like to invite you to. This is an in-person. Okay, it's in person. So you happen to be in the Santa Cruz area. This is taking place on August the 18th. There's a post that we're going to show you right now. And once again, you'll be able to find it on our website and with our social media. I refer to it as a play shop. It's called Pulled by Vision, Changing Our Public Conversation. Now, this is a joint venture. Innerlight is spearheading it, but it's a collaboration between Innerlight Ministries, Temple Beth El, and Centers for Spiritual Living in Santa Cruz. It's a 2-hour event, and we're going to be coming together, envisioning the highest possibilities for some of the toughest issues that we have going on today. Things like democracy, immigration, climate change, health care, electoral politics, global relations, and the economy. And we'll be working in small groups. We have actually now 18 facilitators that are lined up to be able to work with you in small groups. It's free. It's just on a love offering basis. And we provide everything, the markers, the crayons, the worksheets, everything. All you have to do is show up. It's a love offering basis, but we've got you covered. And we use our spiritual tools that we know. Okay, we're not doing a bypass here because we're checking in and seeing like how we're really feeling about some of these issues, going into our visioning, getting fresh new revelations. And as I said before, everything's a narrative. We get a chance to practice shifting our narrative. How do we talk about these things so that we can not only re-energize ourselves, but we're able to change the public conversation? So it's really exciting, and I want you to be able to come and to participate with that. There are also some online versions of this that you can find in my, social media things as well. But Innerlight is focusing right now on this particular one. So mark your calendar. That's Monday, August the 18th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Temple Bethel. They're right next door to Cabrillo College in Aptos, California. Yes, and now's our time of conscious giving, conscious contribution, our donation time. And I say thank you for your offerings. It's because of you that we're able to keep going, to have our ministries, to have our meeting space, to even come to you like we're doing right now, to be able to hold these kinds of events, to open up hearts and minds. So you see on your screen, there are a number of different ways that you can do that. There's a QR code. You can put your mobile device up to that. Credit card, debit card. You can also use PayPal with that. It gives you the opportunity to do a recurring option. The recurring option is also available with the text to give. And that number is 831-231-0065. Perhaps you prefer Zelle or Venmo. And they both have the same handle, accounting at innerlightministries.com. If you're already online, you can just go right there to the website and push donate, cash out, or you can mail. You can mail in to P.O. Box 1029, SoCal, California, 95073. And regardless of how you make the contribution, know that your every act produces abundance. We dare to give freely unto the truth that sets us free. We release this gift, knowing it returns to us 1,000-fold. Thank you. And remember, your generosity returns to you. It's not a one-way street. So I invite you to come back, listen to this again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, follow us on social media. And as always, take this consciousness and multiply it.